Today, what we want to look at is bringing in a null value. A null value is when there is an empty data in the field. That is what we want to look at today. Then we'll look at concatenation operator. This is how to join things together. So we'll look at this, and then we'll look at literal character strings. How to introduce literal characters when you query things from the database. You are seeing my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is what we are going to be looking at today. You have these, these are columns. You understand? These are columns. So these are rows, right? So
Yeah.
this is C1, C2, right? This is R1. This is R2. This is row 2. Now, where this column and the row meet is this, right? Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, this place where they meet is where you have the data. Now, this place is called field.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
This is called field, where they meet. So, every time you select a column, what you are doing is that you are calling that column. The column will have to go to row to ask the row to submit whatever data the row has for it. So,
Okay.
the way it works is that in the database, we have the columns, and the columns have what we call constraint. Constraint is like the rules that guide the data that you deposit inside the column. So every time a row comes, the column will ask the row, what type of data do you have? This is what I'm expecting. And the row will present it. So that will go into what you call the field, which is the meeting point between the column and the row. So every time you select a column, when you say select, for example, when you say select C1 from, assuming this table now is employee table. So you say select C1 from employee. C1 will come to R1 and ask R1 to release the data that is inside the field. Then it will go to R2 and ask R2 to release the data that is inside the field. That is how it works. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that is what I wanted to quickly show you before we continue. So if you look at this employee ID, first name, let's take the employee ID for example. This is row 1. Now, under employee ID, you have 100. So this place where you have the 100 is the meeting point between the employee ID column and row 1. Where you have 101 is the meeting point between employee ID and row 2. So when you say select employee ID from employees, what that will simply do is that the employee ID will go to the row 1 and ask row 1 to release the data there. It will go to row 2, ask row 2 to release the data. That is how it does it. But it will do it so fast that you see everything presented to you on the screen. Now, null is a value that is unavailable, unassigned, unknown, or inapplicable. Null is not the same as 0 or a blank space. 0 is number, and a blank space is character. Do you understand? 0 is a number, and a blank space is a character. So these two are different from null value. Columns of any data type can contain nulls. However, some constraints, which is not null and primary key, prevent nulls from being used in a column. So I will show you that again before I continue. If a column has a constraint that is written not null for a particular column, and then a row is coming and the row is empty, that row cannot enter that place. The column will say, no, you cannot penetrate. I need data in this place. So you cannot come in. Now, arithmetic expressions containing a null value evaluate to null. So if you say 2 plus null equals to null, that is what that statement means. Let me use this to show you. Describe employees. This is what I'm saying. If you look at the employee ID column, let me close this. Now, can you see this? This is the table, right? So employee ID, first name, last name, they have things inside. But look at what I wrote here. Now, this employee ID column is not null. Do you see that? That is the constraint. So that is a constraint. It's a rule. So this rule is saying that if any row is coming, that row must have a data. Otherwise, you cannot enter this column. So this column is always expecting something. While this first name, there is nothing there. Can you see? It's space. It means that you can have an employee without first name, but the employee must have last name. The employee must have last name. Can you see that? If you look at phone number, it's also there's nothing there. It means you can have an employee without phone number. Do you understand now? That is what that statement means. Anytime you say select star or select a particular column name from a table, that column will go to the row and say, release the data that you have for me. So if I'm going to say, if I'm going to bring in null, if I say select, are you seeing the screen? Select star from employees is already showing me. So I pick that one, then I terminate it. If I run it, it will show me this, right? Now, when you look at this commission percentage, now if you look at this employee, that is John Russell. John Russell has commission 0.4. So if you look at that guy, probably he's a salesman, you see. All the other ones are not in the sales department, so they don't need commission. So you can see that null is what is used to represent them. So they don't have commission. That is why you are representing it with null, meaning it's not zero and it's not a blank space. It's just an unknown value. Select last name, right? I put comma. Then I say 12 times. Then I'm going to multiply this 12 by the salary. Let's say I want to calculate commission percentage for employees. I say select last name, select 12 times salary. Then times this commission percentage, which I wrote there. Underscore percentage. That is, I'm looking at this column. PCT from employees. Then I terminate it. Now, if I run this query, I am saying calculate the annual salary of an employee and then multiply it and calculate the annual commission for an employee. So you calculate annual salary, which is 12 times the salary, and then calculate the commission percentage. So if you look at this column, all the employees that have null. Now, if you look at this, you see arithmetic expression containing a null value evaluate to null. When you look at this, we are saying this is an arithmetic expression. This. We want to calculate the annual commission of employees. Annual commission of employees. So any employee that does not have commission will not have annual commission. So the value there will be null. So following that rule, what it's saying here is that 12 times salary times commission. So this one, because I didn't write an alias for it, is going to represent the column name with this. If I run this script now, look at what it's going to do. You will see that all these people that have null, that row will give me null. But for this John, it will give me annual commission. I'm going to run it. Now, can you see? All these people, they don't have any commission before. So their values will be null. But when you get to John, you will see that John will have. Now, look at it. Can you see? Starting from, okay, I didn't put the first name. Now, let me add that one. Let me add it so that you will see it. Let me add it. So I'm going to add the first name. So here, I am going to say, I'm just going to add that first name column. Then I will put comma. So I will run this script again. When I run this script again, see, it's giving me 3 columns. Do you see that?
Okay, that's last name and first name.
Last name, first name, and this one. This is a column.
That is
It will give me this one as a column. The whole of this, it will give it to me as a column. Now, if I now want to give it an alias, I don't want this to come. So I will write it as annual commission, right? So double quote.
yes.
Then I will come to the middle and type it. And I'll type annual commission. So now it's going to change this name. It's going to rename it as annual commission. So when I run it again, can you see that? If I say, let's say, let me just copy this. I'm just going to copy this. And I'm just going to paste it here. Right? Now I'm going to delete all this one. I'm deleting all this. Yes, I'm stopping here. So if I run this one now, it's just going to give me two columns. Are you with me, Unity?
Yeah.
So if I run it now, it's going to give me just 2 columns. Can you see that? I am saying select last name. Now, I must know that last name is available in that table. So I'm not just writing select anything. I know that last name is available. I know that first name is available. But in this one, in this script, I say select last name, select first name. But here I am now putting an arithmetic expression, which is 12. 12 is a constant. Multiplied by salary. Salary is the existing column.
Sorry.
Do you understand? Salary is the existing column. So I am now saying go to the table employee, look for the column salary. Now, what the system is doing is that the column salary will go to the row 1 and say, row 1, what do you have? You have a number for me, right? Okay. It will bring it. The Oracle database management system will now take that value from that salary, that first row. It will multiply it by 12. It will also go to the commission and see row 1. If it is null, that means the answer that is going to give us in this row will be null. Because I've told you that the rule is that if you are doing arithmetic calculation with a column that has null, the value will be null.
It's equals to null.
You understand me? But if it is character,
Yeah.
the value will be character. Okay, let me add another column. Let me add the salary column so that you will now see again. I'm going to add another because I know that there's a salary column. So I'm just going to add salary column. I'll put comma there again. Then I'll run it. So I will now have 4 columns. I'm going to have 4 columns now. Can you see it? So it means that this employee, now I'm going to add this column again too. This column. This is a column. I'm going to add it again. Now I'm removing it from here. I'm putting comma. So I'm going to add it. So I will have 5 columns now. So I run it. Can you see? Now, commission percentage for this King Stephen. King Stephen doesn't have commission. So this arithmetic expression here automatically will make this annual commission row to be null because under commission percentage, it is null. Do you see it?
Yes.
Now, if I scroll down, I will see employees that have commission percentage. Now, look at this employee. This Russell John has commission percentage of 0.4. So when you now bring it in, what the system is going to do, how did the system arrive at this value? The system did this. Let me show you. The system did this mathematics by saying it will take 12, 12 multiplied by salary. So it will go to that row. That John Russell, the salary is 14,000. It will multiply by 14,000. Then it will multiply by, it will look at that one. It has commission percentage of point 0.4. Can you see that?
Yes.
This is the mathematics. This is the mathematics that the system calculated to give us this value of 67,200. So if I multiply that, that will give me 67,200, right? Watch. So if I do 12 multiply by 14,000, right? Equals to this, multiply by zero point 0.4. Can you see? 67,200. But the one that has null, you can see commission percentage is null. So what the system, yeah, the system will now do, this place is null. Now, this one is, that value is 2,500. The salary is 2,500. So based on the rule, we are saying that any arithmetic expression that has null value in it automatically will become null. The answer is null. Yeah. Arithmetic expressions containing a null value evaluate to null.